Hey, today we're going to talk about a topic that is tossed around like candy in the personal development world because so many ambitious, high-performing people still struggle with it. And personally, I struggle with the pronunciation of it, but it is procrastination. The act of delaying or postponing something that needs to be done, often habitually and often with guilt. In today's video, I'm going to talk about what I think are the 3 core fears underneath the hood when it comes to procrastination, especially for women who are guilty of getting caught up in this cycle, and how you can stop beating yourself up, finally breathe a little, and maybe even give yourself a break. Let's go. Hey, if we haven't met yet, I'm Jen Silbert, founder of Good Girl Gone Bold, and my content here is largely for women playing by society's rules and letting their inner good girl still run the show, when in fact, what they really need is to light the spark of their inner bold girl who wants to sparkle and shine and write her own damn rules. We live in an age where we're not hurting for more teachings and learnings on the topic. Just Google, get on YouTube, watch TED Talks, which, quick side note, one of my very favorites, is by Tim Urban, and it's inside the mind of a master procrastinator, and it's the monkey brain factor, and it is very fun and entertaining because it really speaks to most of us. We also have been learning about neuroscience and what goes on in the brain. And we have mindset hacks, and we have book after book after book, and yet we still put things off. We still don't do the thing. We wait too long. We miss windows of opportunity. We scrub the kitchen floor. We organize the bathroom drawers, and we even alphabetize all of the spices in our spice rack because it feels so good. And do you notice what happens next? We beat ourselves up for procrastinating again. And now you move into blame and shame. Here you are talking to yourself, smack talk. Damn, can't you just get it right? You're so disorganized. You never finish anything. People think you're irresponsible. If you just had more motivation, a better time management system. But what if the real root of procrastination is none of this? What if it's not laziness, it's not a lack of willpower, or a broken productivity system? What if it's something else that, if you never fix this, is going to send you into that procrastination, blame, shame cycle forever? Anyhow, there's a mountain of content out there about why we procrastinate. And yeah, some of it's true. Sometimes we do procrastinate because we're just tired, we're overwhelmed, we don't have the capacity, and sometimes we just really don't want to put in the effort. Sometimes we really want that cleaning therapy because it feels so darn good as a delay coping mechanism tactic. And yes, sometimes we are just plain lazy. Admit it. Or at least that's what we tell ourselves. But what I've learned through coaching hundreds of women, very capable, smart, talented women, and men too, and through one very personal, unforgettable experience that I'm going to talk about shortly, is that procrastination is almost never that simple. Quick story, I want to share something that I've never forgotten because it changed the way that I look at procrastination forever. Nearly 20 years ago, one of my kids, who was the consummate easygoing child, it started showing some patterns that were starting to drive me nuts. He was always so compliant, very sweet, very willing, but he just wouldn't follow through. I'd give him a list of chores, wouldn't follow through. He'd have homework to do, wouldn't follow through. He'd always be pushing until the last minute, and then he'd be all stressed out. And then if you said anything to him, he would just project that stress back onto you. So mom was the bad guy. Now, if you've ever read the children's story of Pig Will and Pig Won't, he was the stereotypical pig will. Love that book, by the way. If you haven't read it, you should read it. Now, one day out of total frustration, I used the word lazy. I didn't mean it to hurt him. I don't even remember the context. I find it hard to believe that I would have called him lazy because that would be direct character assassination. But it doesn't matter because he heard the word lazy and it deeply wounded him. He remembered it. I didn't. I know that in the moment I was doing my mom thing and just trying to push him, thinking that I was just hurrying things along. But it stuck with him. And it shaped the way that he saw himself and how he saw me. And it didn't bode well for our relationship. Fast forward to today, and that kid is anything but lazy. He's smart, he's capable, he's skilled, and he can get shiz done. But decision-making still feels hard for him because the real issue never was about laziness, but it was about something else. And at that moment, it just sent me down a rabbit hole of researching the topic of procrastination to understand what was really going on underneath the hood. And what I discovered is this. Procrastination isn't about effort, it's about emotional safety. It's a protective response, an attempt to avoid negative feelings that we just don't feel like dealing with. It's still avoidance, but not for the reasons that you think it is. But now, instead of feeling the shame and blame, you can start by feeling more compassion to yourself, to your fellow procrastinators. It's now a gateway for you to confront the 3 core fears beneath the surface. So yes, what's really going on beneath the surface is a fear of a negative feeling. That fear might be real or it might be completely imagined. Fear based on the past means that you're responding to what happened before. And this is the time when something went wrong. So now the past outcome becomes your prediction for the future. Fear based on imagined pain is you projecting something into the future that may or may not ever have happened in the past, but based on maybe something that you've read or based on somebody else's experience, something you've heard, you imagine this is what's going to happen if you do X. But still, the thing is that you're not responding to the reality of now. So let's go forward and explore these one by one. Fear number 1 is the fear of rejection or criticism. This is a big one, especially for recovering good girls. And it's not just the fear of someone saying no, it's the fear of being misunderstood, judged, or not taken seriously. You don't want to feel embarrassed. You don't want someone to think, who does she think she is? And you don't want to be criticized for stepping up, raising your hand, or standing out. For example, maybe you've been putting off a conversation with your partner or your boss or somebody in your family, and you know it needs to happen. You've even rehearsed it in your head, but instead you ghost it and you go quiet and you tell yourself, whatever, it's not the right time. You get into overthinking and then you wait. Why? Because the last time you put yourself out there, somebody questioned you. They dismissed you. Maybe they didn't say anything at all. And that silence can hurt just as much as criticism, because it feels like abandonment. So your brain is going, I don't want to feel that feeling again. And just like that, you delay again. Fear number 2 is the fear of failure, or the fear of not doing it right. Well, this one hides in perfectionism. It's that voice that says, if I can't do this perfectly, I shouldn't do it at all. But underneath is a fear of looking foolish, incapable, or of confirming your worst suspicion, which is maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe you've wanted to apply for a new job or start that book, change careers, join a gym, get healthy, or even start a conversation about something hard in your relationship. You've thought about it. You've researched it. Maybe you've even written it down, but you haven't followed through. Because if you try and it doesn't go well, well, that failure is going to feel too personal. It's going to expose you, and that feels scary. So instead of risking failure, you stay where you are. Not because it's what you want, but because it feels safer than putting your self-worth on the line. Fear number 3, I call fear of the imagined outcome, or wild imagination mode. Maybe I call that whim. This is the fear that just spirals. It's not even about what's happening now. It's about what might happen next. Your brain creates this mental movie of all the things that could go wrong, and suddenly doing nothing feels safer than moving forward. Maybe you've been thinking about setting a boundary, and you know it's going to be good for you, but your imagination kicks in. Oh, what if they're offended? What if I lose that connection? What if I regret it? What if, what if, what if? Your brain is fast forwarding to this worst case scenario. So instead of moving, you freeze. You stall, not because you're indecisive, but because your nervous system is screaming, let's not make this worse. These aren't time problems. These are fear problems. And each one protects a different emotional outcome. All 3 are different, but they are all rooted in the same thing. Imagined emotional pain. Pain hasn't even happened for you IRL. Now, some of you might be thinking, I don't procrastinate. I get shiz done, man. I'm Superwoman. I'm a badass bitch. But guess what? Dig deeper. And underneath the hood, you might just find the consummate good girl, the people pleaser, the overfunctioner, the obliger. Your procrastination maybe doesn't show up as delay, but it shows up as self-abandonment and overcommitment. Ouch. But that's where I'm going to go in my next video when we talk about self-abandonment and overcommitment. I'm going to introduce you to another bold skill. So stay tuned for that. Click the button up top and you'll make sure that you're notified whenever the next video comes out. So now that you know all of this, how are you going to use this the next time you find yourself procrastinating? Well, I want you to check in and ask yourself 2 questions. What fear am I trying to avoid? And what imagined outcome is running the show? I'm actually going to drop that question in the comments, so why don't we just start a group discussion right now on the topic? And in the meantime, I'm going to leave you with a little gift. It's a checklist that you can use the next time that you find yourself procrastinating. We didn't get into any other topics, so we could just dial in on the 3 core fears, but there's a whole slew of other reasons. But then, hey, you can just Google and look up all of the many reasons. But if this spoke to you, stick with this channel, because this is where we deal with real good girl traits and emotional fears that are preventing you from crossing over from the good girl into the boldest version of you. So the stress that you're feeling when you get into your kitchen and start scrubbing from top to bottom and organizing your drawers and doing all the things that feel so good in the moment, immediate gratification, but then make you feel like crap because you ended up delaying what you had to do even further, is something that I think this lesson today is going to help you with. And love your feedback, find out how it works for you, but download the checklist, and next time you start feeling that pain, check your list.